Hello, everybody. Today, we are going to be announcing the June Art Dare. If you would like to grow as an artist and you can't afford an art class, we've got everything you need here at Art Prof: critiques, tutorials, and professional development. The theme for the June Art Dare actually has two options. We're going to explore body art. So, Lauryn, can you explain what option one is?
Option one is that you can do body paint, which is where you take paints or makeups and put them on yours or someone else's body. And that can be in whatever way you want. It can be the aesthetic, the art itself, or it could be part of a more performative type thing. Options are wide open. It's up to you.
We really want to emphasize for people to be safe and to use, ideally, materials like makeup or paint that's base paint. So that way nobody is put in a situation where they're having an allergic reaction or something like that. So we're going to provide links to sites that have information about appropriate materials, because that's something that can be a problem if you don't research it. I'm sure you've heard about this, Lauryn.
Yes. Actually, I've gone through a lot of those bad experiences myself because I just went into it as a newbie and chose whatever paints were around me. But fortunately, I just used myself. So whatever things that happen in the long run, it's just myself. It's not other people. Once I got to other people, I did a little bit more research.
Anyway, do the research. And if you don't know, you can ask us. You can ask a question in the Discord, make a comment on this video. We're happy to help all of you out with that. Now, option two for this art dare is to create a tattoo design. Now, in this option, the design does not have to be drawn on anybody's body. However, we do want you to show us where, in theory, the tattoo would be located. So, Lauryn, any tips for that?
Yeah, you could say, if you're really good at the digital art, you could digitally put it on a place on the body somewhere, on a photo of the body, or if you can draw the body part and then place the tattoo on there, that would be ideal. What's really cool and what tattoo artists actually do is when they make their flash, which is their drawing design, I think, they do it on a tracing paper so that then you can place it where you want, but be able to see underneath. And so that's an option. You could do it on tracing paper first and then try placing it on another photo of the body.
We want all of you to get creative with how you show us, because I know some of you are Photoshop wizards. So of course you can figure out a way to do that. I think it might be fun to get a sheet of acetate or even saran wrap. I mean, you could put saran wrap on your arm and draw on the saran wrap with a Sharpie. I mean, there's all different ways you could go about doing this.
Totally. I think that the more creative you get with this, the better. And maybe you'll come up with some really cool lasting designs that someone will want.
HT Pokepack says, a lot of people love drawing on themselves with Sharpie. It's not safe, right?
Sharpie is non-toxic. It's not going to hurt you. It is really annoying to get off. I wouldn't do it a bajillion times, but doing it just once will not kill you or anything.
But just the thought of washing that off hurts.
I know,
my
it's
head.
such a pain. It makes your skin look dirty and it just takes forever to scrub it off. One thing that I did when I was a kid that was kind of fun was use Micron pens, and those wash off a little bit easier. Again, these are in the not materials that you generally use on your skin, makeup type stuff, but also it's okay if you say do it once.
And by the way, this is the art dare. You can all finally fulfill your relative or uncle or cousin's request for you to make a tattoo design. Have you ever been approached, Lauryn, to do a tattoo design?
Oh, too many times, way too many times, Clara. And I always say, well, at first I would just accept these and then make things that totally didn't work as lasting tattoo designs. And then as I got older, I just said, No, go to a real tattoo artist that knows what they're doing. Actually, AJ says here is already amending my comment about Flash. Flash is actually multiple small tattoos on a sheet, and you can choose one and then just get it done. So thank you, AJ, for that amendment there. I appreciate it.
Tell us in the chat who here has been approached at some point to make a tattoo design for the exposure as an artist. I think we all have a story to tell. So now we're going to finally fulfill that, except it's going to be on our own terms, right?
Yes.
Now, if you decide to do the tattoo design, again, the media is totally up to you. You could do it in ink, you could do it digitally. It doesn't matter to us as long as you have some image by the time you're done of the design on a part of the body where you want it to be located. So the media is totally open-ended. And a lot of drawings begin as drawings. And then as you can see here, Deepti had this sheet of faces that she created just as drawings, but eventually she turned them into temporary tattoos. I mean, these are so cool, Lauryn.
I love them. I think that's such a good idea because I definitely hadn't thought of these originally as tattoo designs. And then having them as a little temporary tattoo just brings it into a whole different world. Now you can make the faces animate a little bit because your body's kinetic. You can squish them and you can extend them and you can make them bulge from your muscle. Just think it's really cool.
Seven Angelic is asking, so what makes a good tattoo design? What do you think?
I think, well, the thing that seems most important to me, it might not be everybody's most important thing, is placement and how it interacts with the body itself. I think a good tattoo emphasizes the body that it's on. It's not just an image that you stick on there. I think those postage stamp type tattoos are a little bit awkward sometimes. Really good tattoos that I've seen, full sleeves and stuff like that, or even really small ring tattoos, are really paying attention to, say, how a muscle moves or how fat sits on the body or how skin stretches over time. All of these things, it's seems to me as much about the body itself and what the body is as the image.
I think the placement is half the design because it definitely changes our perception of the design based on where it's located. You could take any one of Deepti's tattoos and it's going to resonate differently if it's on a foot versus if it's on a thigh. And so I think an effective tattoo design really considers the body part and how that interaction happens. So I wouldn't just do a bunch of drawings and say, oh, these are tattoos. Like I would go into the design thinking, okay, this is going to go on the knee. How do I plan for that? What do you think about the planning part, Lauryn?
Yeah, I think it's also really important. Also, if you're getting a tattoo, making a tattoo is a good exercise in understanding what you want yourself for a tattoo if you're ever planning on getting one. I think a lot about aging, especially now that my own tattoos are 10 plus years old and I'm starting to see those effects. Where you put tattoos on the body the age of the tattoo and what the tattoo is going to look like depends on where you put it. So having something on your feet or on your hands is going to wear away much more quickly than something that is, say, on your back or your hip or something like that, just because of the shedding of the skin and the use of those appendages.
Adrian says, in Morocco, we do Arabic calligraphic visual poetry that we shape into things like animals and scenes and stuff. And I think getting a meaningful tattoo of those would be so cool. That sounds amazing. I never heard of that before. I'm going to have to look it up after the stream.
Yeah, it'd be really cool to see some narrative work come out of this, you know? There's so many opportunities because the body is so large and every part is so different. You could create multiple pieces that link to each other in different ways. A lot of people that get tattoos have that experience where they'll start with one or two and then the following ones build off of that into a large story about the person's life.
Dara says, what if we all get the art prof tattooed on ourselves? Gotta really commit. You know what? I did have a student who made a little Clara tattoo. I mean, it wasn't like a real one, but it was on their, I think it was on their thigh. I don't know. But yes, it did happen.
Oh, that would be a great Patreon goal thing. If we got to whatever subscribers or money, we'd all have to get a little art prof tattoo on our bodies somewhere.
So AJ says they also tattoo pig skin. It's the most close to human skin and best to practice on. Well, Lauryn, if you don't have pig skin lying around, what do you recommend using instead?
Well, my sibling Storm got into tattooing. It's kind of a thing, and they started tattooing on an orange. I guess an orange peel is also similar to skin. It has that porous quality where it's got the little pits that are kind of like where the hair comes out, but then it also takes ink, I guess, in a similar way to the dermalogical layers. This is what they told me.
Cosmo Life says sizing and angle of a tattoo is so important. If a tattoo artist doesn't make sure it fits your body, it's not going to look that great. Oh, I can imagine that must be so challenging because everybody has a different body type.
Yeah, definitely. And you want your body type. I think that there's a tattoo for every body type too. That's the other thing, is that you can really create designs that fit your skin type, that fit your body, the way your muscles and skin and fat and all that stuff lays together. It's really cool what's out there.
AJ says the best tattoo all depends on contrast, line work, placement, consistency, and how you handle the subject matter. AJ, would you like to run the stream for us? Because you know
Please,
a lot
go
about
ahead.
this. Lauryn, have you seen this movie called Memento? It's got Guy Pearce in it. It's like 20 years old.
It's on my list. I haven't seen it yet. I've heard it's good.
If you haven't seen this movie, you should watch it. First of all, it's an amazing film. It's very well made. And the tattoos are a major part of the storyline. They're not just there as being decorative. And as you watch the movie, you start to realize the meaning of the tattoos change. And so I'm so interested in tattoos in terms of the narrative possibilities, because tattoos play different roles in films. Did you see this one?
I haven't seen this one either, but what a tattoo. That's so intense.
Well, if you don't know where this image is from, it's actually from this William Blake painting. I believe it's the devil. I could be wrong, but that's really intense.
That devil has a nice butt.
He does. It's so taut.
Yeah, look at all those muscles.
And this is a great suggestion. Cosmo Life says, watching the critiques on Ink Master are super helpful for artists of any medium and discipline. Have you watched that show? I haven't.
Yeah, I binged one of the seasons of Ink Master last fall, I think it was. And it really taught me a lot because I had no idea. Even though I have done body painting myself, I've not been in that realm, that group of professionals. And I learned a lot both about body painting and also how tattooing works and what makes a good tattoo.
Seven Angelic says, I worked next to a bunch of tattoo studios, so they would come in all the time with their design printed out and use me like a dummy to, quote, map them. Oh my gosh, I want to see this whole process. I don't know anything about how they actually do it.
You need to go and get a tattoo, Clara. That's what needs to happen.
I don't like sharp things, Lauryn. I don't think I can do it. It's too scary.
It's not like getting a shot. I'm afraid of shots. It's a lot more like a very pointy massage.
Brittany says, spacing and size. My tattoo ended up being larger than intended because over time it would fill in. Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one thing that happens is that the tattoo's gonna bleed or fade over time. That just happens with everything, the degradation of skin. And so if you get something super detailed, it might show up really well when you first get it, but over time it'll just all turn black.
Also, tip from AJ, you can use watercolor and colored pencils to color in your tattoo design and use blacks. It brings out the color a lot. And also try different styles of tattoos. That is fabulous. Great suggestion, AJ. We're going to have to put some of this on the Art Dare page so that way people can use it as a resource. All right, here is somebody who is practicing this ancient form of tattoo, and I don't know how to pronounce the name correctly, but it's a Filipino artist, Wong Ode, and she's a Kalinga tattooist, and it's this incredible art form where they use a thorn and 2 bamboo sticks to create the tattoos, and they're so intricate. This is the process. I mean, isn't this extraordinary?
I mean, this is the real beginning stick and poke tattoo. I think that it's pretty incredible to see these very extensive designs done in that way, because it takes such a lot of focus and patience and ability to tolerate pain doing that kind of stick and poke method. So this is really incredible. I hadn't heard of this. So thank you for sharing her with me.
Look her up. I mean, the work that she does is just extraordinary. And I think a lot of you will get a lot of inspiration from all these different sources. Maihika says, apparently these tattoos are used for protection against harm. The more tattoos you have, the higher your position is in the tribe. That's awesome.
That's so cool. Yeah. Oh man. Now I want to go and look up the whole history of this tattooing practice.
Neil says she's the last one doing that kind of stuff, I believe. Oh, wow. It's like probably a art form that's barely hanging in there. Okay. The other side of the Art Dare, if you don't want to do a tattoo design, you can try body painting. This is Lauryn's specialty. So Lauryn, talk about some of the logistics of this. What we're going to tell people is that ideally, body makeup and face paint are probably the safest, most effective way to do body painting. Can you explain why?
Yes. So when I first started body painting, and actually through my whole practice of body painting, I have used acrylic. And acrylic is not something that you ideally use on your body. You can, but the issue is it's not made for skin. And so people with sensitive skin might have allergic reactions to it. It also dries really weirdly since it's made out of plastic. So your skin's going to feel all creepy crawly when you use acrylic paint on your skin. So this is why there are skin specific makeups and body paints that exist out in the world. When I have used skin specific makeup, I have used Cryolan. There are a whole bunch of other ones out there though, and we can link to some of those afterwards. But if you are going to say use acrylic because that's what's available to you, that's how I started, you would want to do a test strip of paint on your skin first to make sure that you don't react. I have lived with people with extremely sensitive skin, and this is like a huge issue. And for my models to be able to actually get through a session. And you also don't want to use paints that have toxic pigments in them. So even though we don't think that acrylic paint, if you get a little bit of cadmium paint on your skin, it's not going to kill you, but you really don't want to cover your body in metals, cadmiums, cobalts. That's a bad idea. Don't do that, just to be safe. Look for hue or non-toxic on your paints if you do go that route, and never use something like an oil-based paint. That's absolutely not meant for your skin at all. You will absorb it into your body.
I would say in general, water-based paint. Don't touch anything else, just to be on the safe side, because you never really know. Also, just the plain, boring Halloween face paint stuff that you buy at like CVS or Walgreens in the US. I mean, this does not have to be fancy schmancy paint. I mean, I bought face paints for my kids, I think when they were in 3rd grade. I mean, they played with those paints for so long. It was miraculous.
Yeah, AJ's asking if they can actually, or if they can use actual makeup too. And I say, yes, 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 please use that makeup. One of the reasons I haven't used makeup is because I'm actually really bad with using it. It's not a medium that I know very well. I don't put makeup on my face that often. But people, it is truly an art form. I go onto Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube. I see a million tutorials of people that can do incredible, incredible things. And I say, go for it. Do that thing with that makeup.
AJ says, watching Skin Wars is a crazy dive into figuring out body paint. Lauryn, have you seen that show?
I haven't actually. I am still working on the tattoo. What's it? Ink Masters? I've forgotten it already. I will watch Skin Wars. It's also on my list.
And Lauryn, you've done some that are obviously yourself, but you've also done some that are like full out figures with backgrounds, and they're very involved. Like, how long does it take for you to do something like this?
The shortest one has taken me about an hour, and the longest one has taken me 12 hours. Can't really go longer than that because the paint, because I use acrylic, it degrades and it shrinks on your skin and then makes all these crackly things, which I do use for some parts of the body painting process. I think that's really interesting to have the skin peeling away from skin, but it just doesn't hold up very well over time. There's not a lot of movement with it. But yeah, they can get very, very involved.
I would also recommend that you think about photography as well, because even though the artwork is the body art that you're making, you can see looking at a lot of these photos that depending on the lighting or the I mean, you guys can just have fun. There's no rules that we're going to set as far as how to photograph the artwork, but think about it. Like, this is a really cool photo we have here because you just see the part of the face that's painted. Like, I noticed that in this photo, you don't see the top of the person's head. And so the emphasis is more on the face. Do you have any tips for photographing body art, Lauryn?
Yeah, I would say think about your background a lot. Think about your lighting a lot, and also how close or how far away your subject is from their backdrop, if there is a backdrop, because you're going to be dealing with a lot of shadows. Personally, I've done a lot of work with camouflage. If you go on my site, it's entirely about different modes of camouflage. So I'm really thinking about perspective in these images, but you don't have to, just because I think I'll backtrack a little bit. I think a lot of body artists or body paint artists out there work with camouflage. I think it's a very, not necessarily gimmicky, but it's a very wow factor kind of thing. And I want to stress that there are many ways to use body paint outside of camouflage. And so these things, they were really important to me, but they might not necessarily be important to you. I think that stencils are a cool way to go. I've seen a lot of people use stencils for, say, mermaid, where people dress up like mermaids for the mermaid parade. They can get cool effects. Airbrushing, if you want to really invest and commit, you can look into body paints using airbrushes. I think that's a whole other landscape.
Ave says, makeup would be good practice for painting. It's a very different experience than painting on paper and canvas. Oh, I think that there's so many fun makeup tools and applicators and brushes. I mean, I go to the makeup area in CVS just to look at all the sponges, and I don't know, it just looks like a blast, in my opinion.
Totally. Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun.
Katya says, what's so cool about body paint is that as long as you do it on yourself, your entire canvas is free. Is it more fun to do it on yourself, Lauryn, because you have that liberty of not having to work with another model, or is it harder?
I'd say it's harder, actually. I mean, it's easier in the sense that I'm not going to flinch painting on myself. I've got a lot of control over my own body, but I'm also not comfortable around a camera, in front of a camera, even though I'm on the stream right now with you. But I'm not comfortable posing in front of a camera. I'm not athletic. I'm limited by the body that I have. And so sometimes it can be really fun to work with one model or several models with different skill sets. I've worked with someone who's extremely athletic, who had yoga and dancing abilities. I've worked with my partner who will just let me do whatever I want. And then I've worked with people of varying skin tones, skin colors, which also is something to think about when you are body painting. Painting on black skin or brown skin is very different from painting on pearly white skin.
Cosba Life says something you can try is projecting the image onto the body with a projector or something like that. I think it would look cool and you wouldn't have act of the paint on the skin. Oh, have you ever done anything with projection, Lauryn?
Yes, the only time I have done that is for there was a show that my work was in, or that I had performers perform in, that was called Hot Pot at the Brattleboro Art Museum. And I think there were some images earlier in that. And it was interacting with work by different Chinese artists. Yes, this is the one. And I had to use a projector for this because I couldn't possibly paint all of those characters on my own. And I did this ahead of time too, before the performance, like the night before. The model here, she's wearing a long shirt, like a tunic. And so she wore it ahead of time and I painted that on with the projection ahead of time.
Soyton Lee's asking, when is the last time you did a body art selfie, Lauryn?
I think it was probably in 2018 when I was with Eloise at a residency. I don't really do it that often anymore. It's kind of uncomfortable to sit and paint for long periods of time.
I feel that working with a model must be really stressful because you have to think about their comfort level and yours. And I don't know, it sounds like a crazy amount of work.
It's actually it's a very different dynamic. It's really it becomes a different thing beyond just something about aesthetic or even about a simple performance, because it's a performative thing between two people that's really about power dynamics. I think that you have to develop a trust with the other person that you're working with, or it's not going to work out. It's going to feel very weird. You have to be comfortable around another person's body. They have to be comfortable. Like, it's a lot of consent stuff going on. So that's something that I've learned a lot about painting with other people. And that's actually a side that I really appreciate. And that's why I choose other people to paint nowadays.
And I would keep that in mind for the art dare. Do you want it to be something that you make for yourself? Is there somebody you know who you have a certain level of comfort with who would be willing to pose, even if it's just putting on a temporary tattoo? It's whatever you want it to be, but I think definitely keep that under consideration. Trent says, are those human statues considered an area of body art? I don't know which one you're referencing, Trent. Lauryn, do you know which one he's talking about?
Oh, like the street performers, right? That paint themselves all silver or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, I would say so. When we're talking about this, I think we started talking in the realm of aesthetics for this art dare. Aesthetics meaning the picture that you put on the body. But what I really want to stress here too is that body painting, body art really goes into performance. There's kind of this blend here. And so this performative element is absolutely a part of the painting, the acting, all of it. They're all meshed together into one thing.
Yeah, we're showing you, as Seven Angelic says, this is next level collage, the guy in the red theater seats. We're showing you some camouflage examples that does not have to be part of the art dare. If you feel like doing that, that's totally fine. But the only requirement for the art dare is some version of body art. It can be a tiny thing. It can cover your whole body. It's up to you.
I do have another thing to say on this. So right now we are showing photographs of different types of body art, but I do want to stress that this is one form of documentation, and you want to think about documentation in terms of whatever it is that you're doing. So photos are the easiest thing, but think about videos or body prints or drawings. Any of these things can be a part of this overall body work.
We're leaving it up to all of you to figure out, okay, what is a creative way to document this experiment? And I think it'd be fun for all of you, if you want to post some of your in progress pieces, show us the mess. I mean, we love seeing all of that here.
Definitely post in the Discord. And Tia is saying that this reminds me of drag. I mean, the worlds of art often collide. And I say, yes, drag would be another excellent both reference to look at, but also for documentation. It could be a dance or a lip sync or any number of things like that. It could be related to something that you wear, a costume that you put on.
Katya says, would using henna count as body art? Absolutely. I don't know anything about how henna works, but I'm sure some of you can look it up. And Lisa H is asking, what is a body print?
So a body print is something that a few artists I've seen have done. Eve Klein is the one that comes up first for me. Eve Klein took these women, put them in a signature blue paint, and then they made a print on a paper or on a wall, and it leaves an imprint of the body paint. There are other artists like, I think Kelty Ferris has done body prints. David Hammonds has also done body prints. We've shown him on a previous stream. There are a few others I can post in the chat later that they put an ink or a graphite or a paint, and then they use their body to make the art.
Technically speaking, to quote officially enter the art dare, you only have to do one design. Okay. However, we've had so much fun watching people who are really getting ambitious for the month, and people have done extraordinary things. So if you want to take the art dare leap, here it is. It's optional. You do not have to do it. It's basically the art dare, but on steroids for the same amount of time. So the leap is going to ask you to create designs that include these 7 body parts. So the idea is that you would have 7 designs for 7 body parts. So you design one for a face, one for a neck, one for a hand. And that's a very loose guideline. But the idea is to give yourself a prompt that gets you to produce more. I mean, have you found prompts really helpful, Lauryn, in terms of motivating yourself?
Oh yeah, I always need something to start with. So when I first started doing body paint, it wasn't through any kind of my own personal inspiration. We were in a class at RISD, a design class where we had to make something inspired by cuttlefish and their camouflage techniques. And that's how I got into it, was working with cuttlefish. So it can be, I think that having that structure can be really helpful as a launching point to your own ideas later on.
And remember, we do give out lots of really cool prizes, including Kat Huang's middle school comic, which is so cool. And we have prizes for people who win the art dare as well. Now, here are some changes, all right? Typically speaking, we would have a June art dare page on artprof.org, but a new website is launching this week. And we are so excited about this because we have not redesigned the website since it launched in 2017. So we needed a makeover. What did you say?
It's going to be amazing. It's going to look so good, guys. We've been working on it for a long time.
And we were very lucky that we have this incredible UX designer who volunteered their time. I don't know what I did to deserve a contribution like that, but that's extraordinary. And so because the website is launching probably in a few days, we're not going to bother putting it on the old site because that's a ton of work. And so what we're going to do instead to tie you over until the new website is launched is we're going to put all the information in the Art Dares channel in the Discord. It'll be in a pinned message, so that way everybody can access it. So if you go into the Discord and you look at the channels on the left-hand side, you'll see that there's one that's called Art Dares. And this channel is not just for getting information. Like, Lauryn, have you seen what people are doing in there? It's awesome.
Oh yeah, I just use it for inspiration. Everybody's so productive in there and vibing off of each other's work. And it's really incredible, inspiring space to be.
And it's fun because a lot of people will post their in-progress pieces in this channel, or you can even go in there and say, oh, I'm thinking about this. What do people think? Is this a good idea? And then you can support each other. And it's so close to being in an art class where you've all been given information about this prompt. You can get inspired by each other. Tell me in the chat, who has hung out in the Art Dares channel? Come on, it's so fun. It's like a 24/7 party in there.
It really is. I would say that it is like being in school, except I'm already in school and already dealing with that in my own spaces. Otherwise, I'd be in the Art Dare channel all the time.
By the way, I'm going to give a shout out to Kath. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Your contributions, everybody, are so incredibly important to us staying up and running and accessible to everybody. Now, another thing that we also do while the Art Dare is going along is we love to share what you are making for the Art Dare on our Instagram highlights. And so what you want to do, you want to make sure that to officially submit for the Art Dare, post it on Instagram. You want to use hashtag ArtProfDare. And it's fun to go through the highlights because you can see all the submissions that have happened so far. And of course, next month, we always have a video that has featured entries. We announce the winners at the end of that video. And so tag us, art.prof, hashtag ArtProfDare, and we also have a upload form. So if you're not on Instagram, don't worry about it. That will be available in the Discord. Also, this Google slideshow is available. The link is in the YouTube video description below, and we will also put it in the pinned messages in the Discord so you can refer to more of those resources. Art Prof has a podcast. It's available on Spotify and also on iTunes. And in a few minutes, Lauryn and I will be hanging out in the Art Prof Discord. We will be in the post live streams channel to chat more about all this body art stuff or whatever else you want to talk about. Subscribe to our channel and continue to grow and develop as an artist. Leave us a like, leave us a comment. We need some help with that YouTube algorithm, which is so mysterious. And Lauryn, look at how many days.
Wow, you're going to start a new page soon. Oh my God. This has expanded since last time I've been on.
Speaking of which, who would like to help us start that third page? Because that would be pretty awesome to have a third slide.
It looks like we need 3 or 4 names till we reach a third page.
Well, we play around with the graphic design because we need the bar for the patriarchal, so I have to figure out how we transition to the third slide, but we would love to have that. So everybody, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.